The Smoke Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. Today's Wednesday, April 4th, 2018. 94 days into the new year, just 271 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? All right. I don't know how we got so quickly through the week this week. I mean, great shows and everything. Haven't had any rest. You know how you get to that spot in life where, you know, you work 8, 9, 10 days in a row, 11, 12, and the room is shrinking and things are expanding and contracting and you're saying things. Have you ever said something and you can actually see the words coming out of your mouth and you want to grab them and pull them back, right? You know, that lack of sleep statement, that thing that you say, and you're like, man, you know, and you see the words come out, and you want to just, you know, and you want to grab, but it's too late, right? It's too late. Well, that's what I'm going through right now. I do that every night on the show. Half of what I say, I want back. It's the truth. Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Tonight, very excited. Very special guest with us tonight, Sonja Grace. And she's with us for the first time. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And so we're taking care of that issue tonight. And we are going to talk about her book, Spirit Traveler: Unlocking Ancient Mysteries and Secrets of 8 of the World's Great Historic Sites. That's right. Now think about that. Now we're going to do everything, right? We got to do the pyramids, Stonehenge, right? Tiwanaku, of course, maybe Pumapunku, Göbekli Tepe, right? That's what we're going to do tonight. And what makes them special? How did they get there? And by whom? Sonja Grace. And now she's very talented too as well. So we may attempt to tap into some of that. But I just can't wait to get her on. And she's finally here. Sonja Grace. Tomorrow night, Thursday, Fader night. John Rappaport. Wow, is he going to have a lot to say tomorrow for sure. And open lines all night long, 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. And then after that, which is Friday, I'm over at Coast to Coast AM. open lines Friday, standing in for George Norrie, and my guest will be the one and only Richard Bleepin Dolan. All right. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do, at JChurchRadio. You can follow us on Facebook for the time being. On Stellar is just about here, but for the time being, Facebook is still chugging along, and I cannot wait to phase that out. Man alive, I just cannot wait. When we get the last follower off of our Facebook radio page, I don't think it's going to take too long. But and then YouTube, right? You can go and sub to our YouTube channel. More on that in just a bit, especially after what went down yesterday at the YouTube HQ. All right, but it's simple enough to do. Everything is Fade to Black, and you can follow, like, and subscribe. Do what you wish until the new social media platform on Stellar launches, and it's soon. The Sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. We don't bite. Come and hang out with us over there. Hashtag F2B. Any questions or comments during the show tonight or any other night, use hashtag F2BQ. You can also email throughout the show. All right, that is Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. And I don't mean to ignore email throughout the show. I get to as many as I can. And I'm being serious about that. I don't mean to ignore that it seems like I'm ignoring the chat rooms or Twitter. I am not, right? But I just can't do everything. I do the best that I can. So if your choice is to email at jimmychurchradio.com. If you want to post on Twitter, post on Twitter at jchurchradio. You want to jump over to KGRA in their chat room, it's right there. You want to go to Spreaker's chat room, it's right there. Okay, and I try to catch it. Everything blitters, twitters, flickers by so fast that I can't possibly read everything. I don't even know how you guys read everything, but apparently you do. Now, I just mentioned on Stellar, and a couple of updates. On Stellar sent out email to everybody today announcing the changes and things that are going on. Well, it's not really changes, but you can officially register over at On Stellar. It's very simple. So what is going on? And I know that the announcement went out to everybody that participated in the ICO. The ICO ended. And so there you've got an option right now if you purchased tokens in the ICO. You can keep your On Stellar tokens or your ERC20s. I think that's what they're called. We'll buy them back, right? On Stellar will purchase those back from you because the platform is launching. So this is what's going on. The testing of the platform starts in about 3 weeks. Actually, week 4. It'll be at the end of 3 weeks, week 4. Platform is nearly ready to go right now. We're just buttoning a few things down. Not me, the engineers, the people that write code. And there you go. Nothing changes for On Stellar, just so you understand. It's going to, based on the blockchain, On Stellar tokens, trading, all of that, having fun, supporting our own token economy for On Stellar and the platform. Nothing changes. Okay? All that On Stellar chose to do, and I think it was the right thing, is they just invested their own money, private, and that's it. So remove the ICO component of it, right? And that's it. It's just a social media platform. You have to understand, based on the blockchain. Okay? There's no subscriptions or something like that. No money changing. Nothing. And nothing changes. I did see a post, and I got an email from somebody. What, man? Corporate? The big corporate giants already came in and swept up everything? No. Private money. And it's a private situation. So that's all you're going to get out of me. That's it. On Stellar, man, it is going to be amazing. So all of you that have registered, you can go register now and get your screen name and use my promo code Jimmy. And using my promo code when On Stellar launches, in quarter 3, you're going to get an extra 15 tokens as a bonus just for doing that. So think about that. But anyway, all of you that have registered, going to go over and help us test. And you're going to be able to check out the platform and see what it looks like. It is cool. All right. All right. So that's it, and nothing is different. I just want you to know that. All right. Where am I? Somebody help me out here. Our next event will be June 1st through the 4th, 2018. Contact in the Desert, Indian Wells, Palm Springs at the Renaissance Resort and Spa. Full weekend of activities for all of you crazy kids. The biggest UFO conference in the world. And we will be broadcasting live on Friday night, like we do every year, live studio audience. And I'll be hosting and hanging out with all of the events all weekend long with all of you. So come and hang out with us. Look at who we have at Contact in the Desert this year. It's just going to be absolutely amazing. Come and hang out with us. And then, of course, coming up in August 9th through the 12th, our conference up at ECETI Ranch, the Soul Tech Gathering. And I keep saying this, and tickets are going to go. We're only selling 300 tickets. That's it. So you're going to want to get your tickets now. August 9th through the 12th, ECETI Ranch up in Washington, soultechgathering.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Over 825 archive shows, 830. Custom apps, Apple, Android, all platforms, just $2 a month. You can also become a Fadernaut in our membership section of the site. And you can get the Bunker Cam. Hello, everybody on the Bunker Cam right now. Commercial-free downloadable archives. And you can even get the Game Changer, where you get all of that Fade to Black gear, autographed hats, right? T-shirts. We got new T-shirts. We got new hats. All that stuff. Go and do it right now in our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Don't forget all of our sponsors, Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, New Pharma, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, Numana Food Storage, and Bearing Optics. Oh, I wanted to say, so Numana, when you go to Numana, you can use the promo code Jimmy. They have their protein products, seasoned ground beef and chicken breast, right? So it comes, it's dehydrated, it comes in the pouch. You pour, it was mind-blowing. So you take the chicken, or the beef, but you open it up, you pour it in a bowl, don't boil it or anything, you just pour water in like a minute and a half, you have chicken. And it tastes like chicken. It does. It looks like it's delicious. It's the craziest thing you will ever experience. So you get all of the protein stuff and you get the other stuff, and then now you're definitely set because you got the mac and cheese, chicken, add ground beef to the mac and cheese. You've got all of the chilies and the habanero chili and the enchilada stuff, and you have the pasta primavera and you have Alfredo, and now you've got beef and chicken that you can just right there, boom, done in the water. It's the craziest. It's magic. You've got to check that out. It's really cool. All right, let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Robert Downey Jr. is only 53. Weird Science, Less Than Zero, and Tropic Thunder. I didn't mention Iron Man. Didn't do it. Hugo Weaving today is 58. Now, the thing is about Hugo, Lord of the Rings, right? Okay, but you don't really know him. He will always be Agent Smith from The Matrix. That's it. And what's that? Contact in the Desert with River Moon Coffee and Rita's Tiramisu. K28, are you suggesting to Rita subliminally right now that Rita make a tiramisu for you for Contact in the Desert? Rita, we're driving out there, so I guess you could make K28 your world famous tiramisu. All right, I'm actually down for that, K28. That's pretty good. But Hugo Weaving, right? And if you stop and think about it, Agent Smith, one of the great cinema performances ever, right? You see, Mr. Anderson, We've had our eye on you for quite some time now. You help your landlady out with her garbage. Agent Smith. Our dead guy's birthday today, Heath Ledger, 1979 to 2008, died at the age of 28. Will always be remembered for his role as Joker in The Dark Knight. But he was also really good in A Knight's Tale, so let's not forget about that. He suffered from insomnia after making the film The Dark Knight and died from an overdose of prescription medications back in 2008. I hope you're listening right now, Heath. Happy birthday. On this day in history, OTD, 1968. I don't have the date here. Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated at a hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. Single shot fired by James Earl Ray from over 200 feet away at a nearby motel. Struck King in the neck. He died an hour later at St. Joseph's Hospital. There you go. Wow. Fate or fact. I can't believe it's 50 years. It's just unbelievable to me. Fate or fact. In the last 5,000 years of human history, only one disease has been eradicated. Only one. Smallpox. Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it? That is a fate or fact. Tonight, Sonja Grace is here. Tomorrow night is Fate or Night, John Rappaport. Friday night, I'm over at Coast with Richard Dolan. Saturday, we're taking the night off. All right, so last night, right before the show, there was, well, it was in the afternoon, but the shooter at the YouTube headquarters, HQ, yesterday, had her channel demonetized. The shooter drove for 10 hours over 500 miles from San Diego. And with all of that, the official story is that the police found her asleep in her car, ran her plates, and found out that she was a missing person, contacted the family, didn't think it was strange, and let her go after 20 minutes. She had a gun. She visited a shooting range. Everyone around her knew that something wasn't right. Police were warned. And then she just shows up at YouTube and shoots up the place. Now, there are so many things wrong with this story. I mean, all of it, right? Well, when ABC, this was during the show last night, ABC ran a story, and that was fed to me last night by Rita during the show. And we were still trying to identify the shooter. We're trying to find out information. Nothing was being posted, nothing out there in mainstream media. And then ABC comes up with this story, and which I still have here, right? And YouTube shooter identified as user Nassim Ogdam. And so I get this, and I read the story here while I was doing the show last night. And during the break, I walked into Rita's studio down the hall, and I said, pull it down off of Twitter. That there was no way that was a real story. At that point, everything that was in the ABC post was not anywhere else. I couldn't find it, right? So I thought that it was so crazy that it had to be a hoax site, one of those fake ABC 7 sites, of which there are tons. It doesn't matter. Seriously. It was way, way too crazy to be real. After the show, all of the other media outlets started to run with it. YouTube censoring and demonetizing her channel was the reason why she drove 500 miles to shoot up YouTube HQ and then kill herself. And I just thought to myself, if you were going to post a fake story, you would post the story that they have created. I'm being serious for a second here. You know, demonetized channel, pulling her channel down. She's not getting views. She's not getting clicks. They don't like her. You know, censorship. She posted all of this stuff, and she arms herself. her name is Nasim. It's just like, wait a minute. And they post this picture of her. And I thought, this is just fake, right? Now, I'm not saying it's fake now. I'm saying I don't believe any of it. It's just the craziest story ever. So when I read through it, when Rita posted it here, that was my reaction, because I see the fake stuff all the time. People send it to me. I'm constantly looking at websites and names and addresses and going back and finding out that it's a spoof site or it's satire or it's all in all fake and what have you. And that's what I thought Rita sent me last night. And it turns out this is the story that they ran with. Now, it may be all true. Now, I spent the day today looking at her videos. I went and I was just amazed about what was going on. And then after everything yesterday with YouTube, today, Facebook announced that Cambridge Analytica actually had data on 87 million users, not the previously mentioned 50. The scandal has lost Facebook $100 billion in its stock market value, and it's really pissed off the entire world. In the statement today, Facebook also announced that it is reducing the amount of users' information that apps can access from Facebook events and groups. And I'm like, wait a minute. How about zero? Not limit the information, but how about zero? How about no information can be accessed? I'm talking about via Facebook events and groups. Other Facebook changes include the complete removal of a feature which meant people could enter other people's phone numbers or email addresses into a Facebook search and find them. This is because the feature allowed users' information to be scraped. That's right. Your data scraped, downloaded automatically with nothing or nobody stopping it. Now I'm talking about nobody knows your name. They don't even know who you are. They don't care. I'm talking about random phone numbers searched, found, and your data then downloading. Potentially everything that you have said, searched, uploaded, downloaded, the stuff that you forgot about. And they didn't even know your name. Just a computer-generated phone number which eventually finds you and your name and your family and your kids and your friends. And Facebook's response is, well, we turn that feature off. It's been going on for a long time. Has Big Brother, Big Data, Big Companies finally taken a bridge too far? I ask you. A couple of years ago, I spoke about how this social media experience may actually show something about ourselves. I spoke about how those online, those people, friends, people that I know, people that I don't, who post about their most private things. They post birthday parties, their kids, family pictures. And what most would have considered totally private stuff 20 or 30 years ago. What went on in that house across the street from you when you were growing up and you didn't know? What went on inside of that house was private. Not today. Everything is posted online. It's one big real-time live stream soap opera. And with that comes our emotions. We didn't know when to stop. Facebook comes along, MySpace, and this addiction. Couldn't help ourselves. More and more of our most personal things are logged, and they are saved forever. It's called data. Data that can be used, studied by both humans and AI. The more we post and click, the more they have to work with. What the tech giants have found out is that we can't help ourselves. Deep down inside, everyone wants to be liked, to be a star, to be seen. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, they have all proven it. Yesterday, someone who was creating and uploading videos got really twisted when YouTube decided she wasn't worthy. A sure sign of things to come. It's the social media experience and effort gone wrong. The tech giants have figured it out. They know everyone wants to be a star, and there's nothing wrong with that. But likes, subs, and views of individuals, the common man, woman, and child, that's where the real money is. Monetize that, and you have an endless revenue stream. Take that newfound fame. Take it. You make somebody anonymous famous with a YouTube channel, and then turn around and demonetize. Take down the channel. Censor it. And you are messing with the emotions of someone you helped create. Think about it. Have you ever been to famousbirthdays.com? Check it out. Because mixed in with the actors, the musicians, the sports celebrities are the YouTube stars. YouTube stars. And there are a lot of them. Seriously. But wait, Jimmy, aren't you on YouTube? Right? Yes. Well, sort of. We post our videos as a service. And they're not really videos, right? We post those for those who use YouTube that aren't here tonight. They just they surf YouTube. I haven't yet created a video for YouTube, the YouTube stars kind of video, because we don't do it for fame. Not really. Plus, 99% of what is on our channel, my face isn't in it. It's just audio with one graphic posted for 3 hours. The exact opposite of what a video was supposed to be, right? But the truth is, if YouTube took down our channel tomorrow, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't. And I certainly wouldn't drive 500 miles to prove a point. And actually, I'd be happy. It would save me 3 hours a day of work, and I could spend that hanging out with my wife and kids. And the YouTube world actually would be blessed with not having to listen to my grating, nasty voice for 3 hours. Now, the funny thing is, and I really mean this, there are those up at YouTube right now and Facebook right now that think they are the victims, that they haven't done anything wrong. Think about it, because I'm just going to have to leave it right there. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Sonja Grace. That's right. On KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can go find me on Facebook for another month. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com, and I'll be back with our guest, Sonja Grace. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe.
Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that, life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight, you feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Matthew, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'm fired up. I'm ready for this. Sonja Grace is here for the first time, and I know I've been saying it all week. I have no excuses, but she's here tonight, and that's all that matters. Tomorrow night is Open Lines. We have John Rappaport here with his No More Fake Newsroom, and then Friday night I'm over at Coast to Coast once again this week, standing in for George Norrie. Open Lines again Friday night, and my guest will be Richard Bleepin Dolan. So come and hang out with us. Saturday, I'm going to take the day off, if that's okay for the rest of you, and I'm going to sleep into like 4 p.m. I'm going to need that rest, especially after tonight's show. Sonja Grace. She's an author. She's a mystic healer, and for over 30 years has been offering her clients, both in the United States and abroad, immediate stability, clarity, and guidance. Through her healing, counseling, and spiritual processing, Sonja has a wide variety of talent to choose from in which she accesses her ability to channel and communicate with the divine. She sees and receives messages from loved ones who have crossed over and offers a venue for healing in this world and the spirit world. Her ability to read and clear the karmic threads to past lives helps clients heal lifetimes of patterns. She's also an energy surgeon, and she helps clients to identify where the discomfort is in the physical, emotional, and mental or spiritual bodies. But tonight, well, we're going to dabble into that. We have to. Sonja's here, right? But tonight we're going to talk about a very special book, one of her latest books. It's called Spirit Traveler, Unlocking Ancient Mysteries and Secrets of 8 of the world's great historic sites. And we're going to take a unique approach to analyzing why these sites have been built, who built it, how, why, and what they are there for. And, of course, this means the Great Pyramids. Stonehenge, Tiwanaku, and maybe Göbekli Tepe. How about Puma Punku? We're going to do it all tonight, and I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Sonja Grace. Sonja, it's about time.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I can't tell you how many people are cheering right now because we got together to do this show.
It's about time, but it's all your fault,
It's all my fault.
Welcome to the show. And this is the thing. You get the first-time guest disclaimer. Now, the next time you're on the show, you don't get the disclaimer, but you're going to get it tonight. And here it goes. It's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends. But we're going to end as friends. All right? You ready?
Yes, see, I'm ready. I'm ready.
The pressure's on now. It's all on me. Okay. Before we get to all of these sites around the world that we discuss nearly every single night here on Fade to Black, I've been doing it for years here, coast to coast, whatever. Before we get to that, I often say everything is connected. And with you and your career and like this book, everything on this planet is connected. When did you start to figure that out?
Well, a long, long time ago, my earliest memory of seeing my guides, who are high spiritual angelic beings, was at 2 years old. I used to rock my crib across the floor and drive my mom crazy because I'd bang against the door and tell her I wanted to get up. Well, the cribs back in my day were really heavy, and there's no way humanly possible that I could have done that. And I remember looking to both sides of me and seeing my guides rolling the crib across the floor. And I mean, I had really unusual things happen when I was a child. We had, spirits walking through the house, through my room. I used to do healing work on all the animals on the farm, the dog, the cat, everybody. And I was like 5. I used to play in the woods. We grew up on a, really rural area, and I could see all the devas of the trees and the plants. And, I was really quite out there as a child. And my realization that I needed to do something about this was when I was probably maybe 19, and I was walking down the streets of Ashland, going back to our earlier conversation.
Right.
And I could see, it was crazy. All I could see was color around and on people's faces and bodies. And I remember looking at my friends and saying, wow, did you see that? That person was covered in orange. I mean, that was so weird. And then they all looked at me like, okay, you're tripping. Something's happening here. And so it was a process. It was all a process. I owe much gratitude to my mom. She knew I was different. She knew I had gifts, and she put me in ballet class when I was 5. I trained as a classical ballerina. I danced professionally and was with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival for 10 of the 15 years that I performed. And that in itself helped me understand and learn about time travel. Because if you realize how many Shanae turns you can do in the count of 8, you start to understand what time and space really is. And that dance training that I had, as strict and rigorous as it was, allowed me to learn not only that I need to be in my body to experience the incredible, spirit realm connection that I had, but also it taught me how to move through time and space in a different way. So bringing that current, because I've been, working as a healer for 36 years, I put myself in front of people around the world daily. So I spirit travel daily, and I'm able to go into people, working on them, work on their heart, their liver, their spleen, their kidneys, cancers, blood issues, bone issues, triple bypasses on hearts. I'm like a surgeon, as you said, and I'm working on people very detailed. And I do this through, basically I'm time traveling. I'm putting myself in front of that person. So when I started spirit traveling, it was an extension of what I was already doing. And I was literally being taken to these sites by my guides and shown what really happened, who built it, why was it built. And I remember when this started happening, I looked at my guides and said, why are you showing me this? Like, why is this happening? And they said, because you're supposed to tell people what happened here. So here I am. And
I picture you in Ashland. And for those out there, yeah, right. Exactly. I like that. I like that giggle. Because for those that have never been to Ashland, Oregon, it's one of the most special places in the United States. It's a very unique, very small, very American town, but very free-spirited, right? And if you're going to find yourself, if you're a special person and you need to find yourself, go to Ashland.
Go to Ashland, right?
Right?
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, before I even started at the Shakespeare Festival, I think it was 15 performances of Fiddler on the Roof. And, I was 17 when I left home. I was 17 when I did this show. I was dancing and singing. And it's like Ashland unfolded for me into a continual episode of Fiddler on the Roof. It was so great. I love that show. And then I started dancing with the Shakespeare Festival and, moved up in the ranks to Romeo and Juliet and The Tempest and, a lot of shows. So it was fun. I loved being there, but it allowed me time because I was working as a healer. I was studying with, several teachers over the course of years. I really had a chance to integrate because it was so physical. I mean, the costumes alone are 50 pounds and up. So you have to have stamina to be in one of those costumes and dance at the same time.
I'm going to tell you a funny story, and you're going to totally get this. I'm going to make this the quick version. So my dad is living in Ashland. He's a musician, and he's playing downtown at a bar downtown. And it's my first time there. And so I go to meet him, and I'm with a friend, and we go. And as we're walking up to the bar, this is I'm going to go with 1995. And I smell pot, like good pot, right? And I smell it on the street. And I was like, wow, that's kind of weird. Okay. All right. Public place. And I walk, and as I walk to turn the corner to go into the bar, and this is in downtown, right? And now I smell pot, like strong. And I turn to my friend, and I go, man, do you smell that weed? And as we turn the corner, I'm looking eyeball to eyeball to a cop. And this cop is standing there with, a gun. It's a cop in uniform. Mm-hmm. And he looks at me and goes, and laughed. And I walked past, and I was just what he is thinking. Well, there's an out-of-towner, right? And I thought, man, Ashland is a really special place. Okay, that's where you go to find yourself. It's very cool, very American.
Well, I feel really, really blessed that my young years of developing, as a young adult, my skill and my ability got to take place in this town because really, I mean, I studied with Donna Eden. She's a part of my, teachers that I had, and she's just one of the most special people on the planet. I knew her long before she had her school of energy medicine, and, I taught her how to French braid her hair, for God's sakes.
Really?
It's such a great town, and I feel really blessed to have come from that pod because it really helped me grow and become the person I am today. And of course, there's lots of other journeys in there. But I was thinking about what we talked about pre-show, and I was explaining to Jimmy that I had just recently moved from Oregon to Arizona, and we drove like a wagon train with vehicles and everything. And as we drove across, down to California and Susanville and through Nevada, we hit 3 of the worst snowstorms in history of California and Nevada. I mean, it was insane. And I have never felt such a dark night of the soul as I did, going through these storms that were just unbelievable. I mean, really scary stuff. And I'm someone who, sailed from Hawaii to Canada on a 42-foot twin mast fiberglass boat. I know what scary is, and it's like, there's nothing like it. I clear entities and aliens, and I remove energetic probes from people, implants. I mean, my God, I have a world that could be perceived as very scary. But, you bring it into the physical for me, it's a whole nother story. It's like, okay, that was scary.
Now, the other part, I did want to say this because of what goes on in Ashland, which is, the Shakespeare Festival every year. Mm-hmm. They take their acting very, very serious. There is a lot. I mean, that's just right there to do that festival every year. They take it very serious. A lot of people from great actors around the country and from Hollywood go up there every year, and they participate. And then there's one other thing when I'm kind of joking about Ashland, about its free-spirited part, but they take the acting serious, and they take their 4th of July parade really serious.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and
it's spectacular.
It's hard to put into words. Yeah, it's hard to put into words. A small town like that puts on a nationally recognized parade. You're there, and all of the news, vans from around the country. Everybody's reporting live from Ashland, and I've been there a couple of times to see it in person, and it'll bring a tear to your eye. Ashland.
I've been at that parade where an entire group of people are dressed exquisitely like an entire deck of cards. I've seen an entire group of people as wontons on a plate for Geppettos. I mean, it's crazy what the people of Ashland will do to create this 4th of July parade. It's crazy.
They don't play around. And I remember, I have to say one more thing about that parade, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
It's like the Ashland promotion show. Chamber of Commerce needs to send me a T-shirt. Is this? I remember the first time I was there for the 4th of July parade, and they had the entire elementary school, each class, right? Kindergarten. They had the whole class in the parade in 1st grade and 2nd grade, and they're all marching in step and waving flags. I'm like, this is the coolest thing anybody can see and to witness. Everybody participates in that parade. It's just absolutely remarkable. Remarkable.
It is. And, there's so many places in the world that are wonderful, like Ashland. And I really, I'm such a promoter because I teach meditation retreats all over the world. I'm such a promoter of people traveling and seeing these places because there's just nothing like it. I mean, yes, I can spirit travel to these places, but there's nothing like physically standing in the middle of Stonehenge. There's just nothing like it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Now let's. That's a pretty good segue, Sonja.
Thank you.
That's pretty good. Well done. Is you moved to Prescott or in that area out into the high desert of Arizona, which is one of the most magical places in the world. Mm-hmm. Everything goes on there. Was there a reason why you chose? Did your guides tell you to go there? Was there a reason why you landed there?
Well, I'm Choctaw, Cherokee, Ojibwe, and I'm adopted by a family out at the Hopi Reservation. My husband is full-blooded Hopi, so we have a lot of ties here and a lot of reasons to come back and be closer to the res. So that's why we moved back this way. But I said to you earlier today that I feel if something big were to come down in the metropolitan area I used to live in Portland, I would want to be much more rural so that I felt I had lots of land to run around on.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, see, that's the thing. If the doo-doo hits the fan and you live in Los Angeles, you're going to try to drive to a place like Prescott. But it's much easier if you already live there. So, I dig the idea. But now, so when you got the new property, did you find a vortex in the backyard?
I did. In fact, the whole property, and I'll go back to what I said to you earlier. When I work with people every day, I clear them. I clear their energy field. I clear entities and alien stuff, all kinds of stuff out of people. And when I do this, I also do this for homes. So I do clearings of people's houses. I get ghosts out. I get, entities. And I'm actually able to move these portals that are opening up. I'm able to get those moved and out because they are causing big problems for people in their homes, with their kids are acting weird. I mean, like all kinds of stuff's happening. And it's because there's portals opening up all over the world right now. Because we've moved into the fifth dimension and it's a much higher frequency. So as this happens, I of course was clearing the house we were coming to, clearing every day, clearing this place. And I tell you, it is just phenomenal. The open sort of freeway to the cosmos that's right over this house. It's really great. And of course I can see the sky because it's so dark out. There's no city lights. And I'm excited because I know I've seen several UFOs here in Arizona in the past. And I know that there's probably going to be many more.
Yeah, I know. And if I lived there, I'd be out there every single night just looking up to the stars and expecting something because it happens constantly.
Constantly. My husband and I, we were on the reservation. It was broad daylight. We're like right at the top of a hill. It's a straight, sheer drop off on the other side of the road. And right as we get to the top of the hill to start going down, there is literally, as clear as day, a ship right over top of us. And this is not our military. This is a UFO. And I have never seen my husband pale, and he paled. And I said, "Do you see that?" And he's like, "Yes." And he's like almost driving us off the road. And I'm like, "Watch the road." And I'm looking up, and this thing is like hovering right over us. And then just as fast as it arrived, it just went, and it was gone.
What did it look like?
It was black, gray, like a dark gray. And it was like a triangular shape, but with a section of it missing. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. And it had like if you drew a triangle and took a section of that out, that's what it looked like.
Like a strip out, like a strip, like a straight line, like a gap.
Like a gap.
Wow. So like two triangles, almost like two triangles.
Well, like a triangle with a gap out of it. So,
well, if you take a gap out of the middle of two triangles or one triangle, you now have two.
You're right. Yeah.
So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And I had another really phenomenal experience when we went to the Canary Islands. I was looking out at the ocean, which is, of course, the Atlantic, and I could see this thing moving across the horizon. Well, if you think about the horizon, think about like the sun setting, or the sun coming up. It was like that size. It was, you can't even see a boat on the horizon, right?
Right.
So this thing is like the closest thing I can compare it to is like a jellyfish on its side. It's big and it's moving across the horizon. It has tendrils going behind it. And I'm on the phone with my mother. I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, how are you doing?" And I'm like barely keeping it together because I see this thing moving across the horizon. And, and I Googled some stuff on YouTube and I saw a video from China, and it was just like what I had seen there in the Canary Islands. It was a UFO. I don't know really what to call this thing other than it was a UFO. but it moved sideways, and it would kind of push forward and then pull back, and then push forward and pull back. It was very odd.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if that would be a UFO. I'm thinking interdimensional being, something that is alive that you just happen to be on the same frequency with. I think there's creatures around us alive, right?
Totally.
Right?
Totally. Oh, there are so many aliens that are here on planet Earth right now. And if anybody listening has any doubt or any question in your mind, are there really aliens? Listen, hands down, there are. End of story. Book is closed.
No,
I mean, I'm serious.
Yes.
I see stuff every day, and there are so many new aliens coming through because of these portals that have opened up. And it's just, I just really want our whole world to come to that moment of, okay, this is real.
What do you think? We've got about 2 minutes. What do you think is causing all of this action right now with the opening up? Is it CERN? Is it something going on at Lawrence Livermore Labs? Some accident? Some experiment?
No, it's because we moved into the fifth dimension. When the Mayan calendar ended, that meant it was the end of the fourth dimension. We moved into the fifth. This is a huge energy shift for us, and it's moving fast, and time and space is not what it's been in the past. And everybody's trying to adjust, and we have to adjust our energy, but we have to do the work to adjust our energy. We can't just go, okay, I'm adjusted now. We have to actually do work to raise our vibration to meet this fifth dimension.
Well, okay, then what do we do to control that? I mean, because there's also good and bad that comes with that dimensional shift.
Right.
I don't see everything that is happening right now necessarily being good.
Right. Okay. Because duality, that big soup that we swim in, and we measure our reality outside of ourselves.
Right.
What's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. It's splitting apart. It is literally going to be gone within 100 years as we move further into the fifth dimension. That's why things are either really, really good or they're dramatically really bad. It's because dualism is splitting apart, and we're having to do the inner work so that we can rely on that compass, that internal system we all have, that innately we know what's good and bad and what's right and wrong.
Did this dimensional shift also ignite this Mandela effect thing?
I feel that it really ignited a lot of things. Well, there's a lot of things in the world that have sort of been supercharged.
I know, and we're seeing it all at the same time, and I love it. But you and I can wrap our heads around it. But what about, status quo Joe Smith, right, that drives to work every day, that doesn't have any idea or any clue, but he's seeing things going on? You can't explain this to them.
No, you can't. And it's okay, because what I see happening with people is literally, as a visual for your listeners, it's like everybody's kind of encapsulated in their own bubble of reality. Like the listeners right now, we're all in like similar bubbles because they're tuned into you and to me and what we're talking about. But there's this other person you talked about who's in a different bubble, has a different reality. And all of us are sort of starting to float around, move around in these bubbles, and we're existing at the same time, but in completely different realities. And it's mind-blowing, right? You go, oh my God, how can that person think that way? Well, they've got their own bubble of reality going on. And that, again, is a part of this higher frequency that we're in, this fifth dimension.
Yeah, I love it because it enables me, to say, I told you so. I told you. You thought I was nuts. Now you're the crazy guy. Sonja Grace is our guest. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We've got Sonja's Twitter handle right up there in Twitter. You can go and follow her right now. We'll be right back more with Sonja Grace, and we're going to get into all of these sites around the world. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. We have Sonja Grace's links right there in Twitter as well. Tomorrow night is Open Lines with John Rappaport. Friday night, I'm over at Coast to Coast, standing in for George Nori again this week, and Open Lines, and my guest will be Richard Dolan. Tonight, it is Sonja Grace. And we are going to start talking about her book, Spirit Traveler, Unlocking Ancient Mysteries and Secrets of 8 of the World's Great Historic Sites. And before we get started, Sonja, what is it that the ancients knew about placing these sites? And there's something there, and they all seem to be connected to as well. What did they know that we've seemed to have forgotten?
Well, I'm gonna back up just a little bit to what you just said and answer it in a bigger scope, okay?
Absolutely.
When Atlantis and Lemuria came to an end, these huge civilizations, at around 10,000 BC, these huge portals opened up all over the earth. And it was sort of like, Batman in the Batman movie where they shine the bat up in the sky to get Batman to come and help.
Right.
It's kind of like that. The Earth shines this energy up into the galaxy and beyond and says, okay, we're ready for a new phase of humanity. And that's when all the star beings, or demigods, as I call them, came through. The Pleiadians, who I refer to as the ancient ones, the Norse gods, the Hopi gods, the Tibetan gods, the Greek gods, all of them came through and had their group of people that they worked with, they shaped, they taught ceremonies to, they cross-pollinated with, and that's the whole sort of recreation of a new phase of humanity. And to go further into that, these beings, these demigods, are far more advanced than we are. They're way bigger than we are. They're, 18, 20 feet tall, and they're very, some of them 14 feet, 12 feet, but they're tall, they're big. They have a benevolent side to them. They're very powerful, and it's no wonder that the ancient people prayed to these demigods, because not only did they see them, they visited the people, they interacted with them. But what changed our whole, society across the board is at one point they stopped coming. They stopped appearing to the people. And let's take Stonehenge, for example. The last thing that the ancient ones did for the people around 4000 BC was they placed those giant sarsen stones and the blue stones as this monument for them to remember them. They said, this is our last gift to the people, that these stones are infused with this incredible energy, and we are leaving this here for you so that you will remember us, because we're not coming back. And, the people at the time, they're like, okay, we're cool. We know you're going to be there, but you're not. And we're going to do all this stuff. Well, over time, a few hundred years pass, things start to be forgotten. Okay, we're a little worried because they haven't come back. We're going to bury the high priestesses next to Stonehenge in these burial mounds, because they are the high priestesses. They will get to where these gods are and bring them back. And so, it's like one thing leads to another, and 100 more years go by, a few more 100 years go by. And, in a place like the Mayan culture, you have, pretty full-blown freak out. Okay, the gods aren't coming back. We're going to start sacrificing people so that they know we're serious and we really want them to come back. So, all different cultures, different places have sort of expressed themselves based on this idea, this experience that I had of these gods coming through and working with the people. So now we're coming to the end of this phase of humanity, which is why so many people are rushing to the forefront to get their spiritualism on, so that they can remember and they're ready. And it's not that we're all going to poof leave the planet. It's that we're evolving. And as we pass the torch to our children and our grandchildren, who will be the leaders of this next phase of humanity, it's important that after all these lifetimes of incarnating over and over and over, it's important for people to remember, to go, okay, I did come in at the end of Atlantis, and I had all these lifetimes, and now I'm here in 2018, and I need to remember all of this so that I can leave the planet when it's my time and be ready to go on to the next thing that I will go on to do. Because I feel a lot of us are not coming back to Earth.
I find it interesting that you mentioned the size of the demigods and those that were before us, because I've often wondered, and I don't want to sound childish in what I'm about to say, but I've often wondered that maybe some of, or a lot of the statues and sculpture that we have from around the world of these oversized humans, that they were actually life size. And I don't want to sound, come on, church, that's crazy. But just maybe these were depictions of what was walking the earth. And that would also explain the size of these structures. They're so big that just maybe it was built and constructed and moved by a civilization that was actually much larger than we are. That's why we don't understand it.
Okay, let's talk about that. That's good. That's a good one. The structures, the pyramids. Okay, so all this, history, right?
Yes.
Okay, along the Tropic of Cancer, you have all these pyramids from Egypt to Mexico and China. You have all these pyramids. You have huge structures along the Tropic of Cancer. And I learned when I spirit traveled back to Göbekli Tepe and Baalbek that there was a race of giants that were called Mu. And this race of giants came here long before Atlantis. They were here, in a million years ago. And they shaped so much of what was passed on to ancient people. And I believe, and what I saw, was that they're the ones that created all of these ancient sites. Now, what's interesting is Lemuria is also known as Mu, right?
Yes.
It's the name that people have for Lemuria. And when I met this race of giants, they told me that they were called Mu. And I believe that they're the ones that were responsible for bringing the people across the land bridge up north, Greenland, across Canada, down across Alaska, and down into Asia, Japan, and India, all of those areas where there's just phenomenal ruins underneath the ocean that I am sure belong to the ancient Lemurian people. But I see Lemuria having been a much history. The length of time that existed was way longer than Atlantis.
Okay, so did you see and experience Lemuria in the Pacific?
Well, I've experienced it in a couple of places. When I spirit traveled, and I want to explain what happens to me when I spirit travel. But when I spirit traveled to Skellig Michael, which is the island off the west coast of Ireland, and for the listeners, it's where they filmed Luke Skywalker in the last Star Wars movie. It's got all those cool ancient beehive huts that the monks created using no mortar, nothing but stone on stone. Even the stairways are like that. It's an amazing island. But I was told by a being, one of the Tuthaladannan, which is a group of people or beings, if you will, that were very magical, and they were a part of Ireland, Scotland, and the UK. They told me that was a mountain once in the time of Lemuria, and that the land mass to Greenland and Iceland all the way across was once connected. And it's true. Actually, it was all connected at one time. But that over thousands of years, people migrate. And they had a civilization over there. They migrated then down, like I said, going across the land bridge. The race of giants called Mu were there. They were instrumental in those people's time, which is why I believe they are called Mu, and Lemuria was also referred to as Mu, because there is that connection of the two. So somebody asked on Twitter what happens to me, like what happens when I spirit travel. Can I explain that to the listeners?
Yeah, actually, that was my next question.
Oh, good.
And before we get to that, what happened to the Mu? Where did they go?
Well, these guys were very advanced, and that site at Baalbek, which is this huge block that is really a landing pad for ships, they went back to where they came from. They actually left Earth. but they were here much, much longer than what I think people realize, and it was well before Atlantis.
So Baalbek was their last spot.
Yes, in fact, they left when Atlantis began, and they came back at the end of Atlantis because the people were in trouble. They were trying to escape and get to a safe place, and the Anunnaki were attacking people and taking them as slaves. And what I saw and experienced was the Mu came back, and they helped the people there at Gobekli Tepe, and they made sure that they were safe. I mean, it was incredible what they've done for the people. And they have not been, against humanity. They've been really trying to support us and help us to be more evolved and more technically savvy. There is another race of giants that came through up north in the UK that they were not meant to come through, and they made their way through sort of a dimensional opening, and it was bad. I mean, there's a lot of stories up there in the north about giants eating people. Yes. And I think these guys did. Yes. I mean, they were really bad. Yeah. The
back to Baalbek, out of all of the sites in the world, and you can go and look at the Saurian and Abydos and these huge megalithic blocks from, but nothing is like Baalbek. Yeah. That now you're on the level of ridiculous, the size of those blocks that were there, and there's just no way that we moved them. Not us, not 5 foot 10-inch humans. That it's just impossible. So that's interesting. Okay, so Baalbek.
So spirit traveling. So I've been meditating for over 3 decades, and I have experienced a lot through my meditation. I teach meditation. It's the foundation to my work. And I experience now in meditation where when I go in, I literally experience my body dissolving, like it's nothing. There's nothing there. It's like turns into little granular pieces and floats away. And when that happens, it's sort of like I can't go anywhere and I can't travel until that happens. And I never travel anywhere without my guides, who are high angelic beings. And it's only until that happens that then they hold their hand out and say, okay, we're ready to go. When I go, I feel the elements. I feel the cold. It's like sometimes I actually put a coat on before we go, because I feel the cold, I feel the rain, I feel everything. And we literally go up into, the ethers, and we come back down. But sometimes when we come back down, it's a different time period. There is no monument, there is no stones. It's bare ground, or there's rocks, or it's different.
Is the choice, the time and the destination yours, or is it your guides?
No, it's theirs.
Yeah, right.
It's theirs. And where I go is up to them. I mean, I'm hard-pressed if I have to say to them, can we go to Gobekli Tepe, please? Right. It's like it's up to them, and they take me there for a reason. They want me to see something. It's not let me pick my favorite place on the planet and we'll go. Right. But a lot of people say to me, oh, you're astral projecting. I'm not. This is a completely different experience in the way that I literally dissolve before I go.
And you mentioned time travel earlier. I mean, this is time travel.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I had the weirdest thing happen once. Oh, you're going to love this story. I was doing a show in Ohio, and I had a table, and the last person to come up to me at this table was an alien. Hands down, this guy was an alien. He had no whites in his eyes. He was like staring into my eyes, and I could see these little kind of hooks trying to come into the back of, into my eyes. So I'd look away, and then I'd kind of look back and look away. And he said, he just point blank, he said, I want to know how you time travel. it was really weird. And my assistant and my husband were both there. I looked at them. Neither of them could look at him. I mean, he was just, he was an alien, and he was definitely after what I knew and how I was doing it. And it was, the only thing I can say that was really nice is he bought 2 of my books, and I laughed when he left, and I said, well, it looks like the whole alien community gets to read Spirit Traveler now.
and he disappeared.
He totally disappeared.
Did you get a picture? Yeah. Come on, Sonny. Did you get a picture? Did you take a selfie?
No, you know how it is at the end of the day when you're so tired and you just can barely think. It's like that's where we were at.
Yeah.
But I had that when we stayed there at that hotel, I had aliens coming in to the room every night. I was having to just constantly clear things out. And it was just this insanely active place. And I'm glad that, they have my books.
So when you do this, the first time that you did this type of traveling with your guides, not the first time, but the first time you got to visit a site, can you tell me about that and where did you go?
Well, I think the first time this happened is a really worthy story because my husband and I had gone to these mountains in eastern Oregon, the Wallowa Mountains, and we were staying in this little cabin on a creek. And I told him, I said, I'm going to sit down at this really nice bench outside. It was warm. And I'm going to go into meditation, probably 20 minutes, and then we'll make dinner and have dinner. It was about 4:00 in the afternoon. And I went into meditation, and my guides came, and, my body was dissolving, and it went away, and they held out their hands, and they said, we have something we want to show you. And we went up and up and up and up and up, and we kept going. And we were moving really fast. And the next thing I knew, I was standing sort of in the middle of the universe, and it literally was the center of the universe. And there was this kind of cloudy, milky, white kind of energy. And I saw one of the Savrok, and the Savrok are in my book, in Spirit Traveler. And I talk about the Savrok as well on Ancient Civilizations on Gaia TV. And there was one of the Savrok. It's one of the ant people standing there. And he said, I want you to step into this. And I was scared. I was like putting my toe in like water, going, I don't know.
Well, did you have any concept of when this was as far as, in a linear time fashion?
No, I had no concept of time. None.
Because when you're speaking of them and ant people, we're going back a good chunk. But was this in North America?
No, this was in the center of the universe. This wasn't even on land. This is like I'm out in the cosmos. Yeah.
You're out in the cosmos bumping into the ant people.
I'm off planet. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm off planet. So I'm standing there. They're saying, step into this. And I'm like, okay. So I did. I stepped into what would look like sort of this milky white substance. And never in my life had I experienced such a level of bliss. It was like the most unbelievable rapture of bliss, like I was in front of God. It was so powerful. And I remember going, oh my God, I don't ever want to leave this place. It was so beautiful. And then all of a sudden it was like, my guides were saying, well, we have to go now. And I'm like, no, we don't. Yes, we do. And so they took me and we came back. It was 5 hours later. Was
your husband still there?
He was sitting in the dark, keeping an eye on me because it was dark out at this point. That was crazy. That was a crazy, experience for the time space thing. And then it was after that my guide said, we're going to start now and we're going to take you here. And we would go. And, that's the premise of my book, Spirit Traveler. And for those of you who have read Spirit Traveler, there will be a second one, but I have another book that's coming out before the second one. So you'll have to read the other one first.
And with your with your Native American Indian background and the Ant people, that part of it, how cool was that?
Yeah, that was really cool. That was very special. And I know from them, from the Savrock, that they were here first on Earth. They were they came here to really take care of the planet, and they came here to help humanity as well. And they're so ancient, and they are so much a part of the universe. The fact that one of them was standing there at the center of the universe, it says everything to me about their importance throughout our universe.
Were you able to, as you went up, and up, did you ever look over your shoulder?
Yeah, I mean, I did notice that it was sort of a like a tunnely, wormholey kind of experience as we went up. Like I could see light sheaths coming down around me. And of course I could see lights like stars off in the distance, but there was definitely, I feel a pathway that we were traveling to get to where we were going.
That's incredible. Yeah. And now you said that was 5 hours. Of course, it would probably seem like it was much longer than that for you. How long was the travel part before you got to your destination? In other words, was it instantaneous? I mean, how long do you think you were traveling?
A long time. It felt like a really long time. I remember, they were holding my hand, and I remember thinking, wow, we just keep going up and up and up. But, it was such an experience. I kind of lost track of, monitoring time. I know I keep thinking about Jodie Foster in Contact, like, dang, where's my compass, and how come I'm not keeping track of this?
And we're gonna take a break here. When we come back, that's a really good comparison, by the way. I can. It's easy to visualize that way. Yeah. When we come back, I had asked you the first time that you got to visit one of the special megalithic sites.
Yes.
So think about that. We'll set that up when we come back. Well, you can leak it now. What site was it?
The first site that I went to is Stonehenge.
Okay, that's where we're going to go. When we come back, our guest tonight, Sonja Grace. We're talking about her book, Spirit Traveler, Unlocking Ancient Mysteries and Secrets of 8 of the World's Great Historic Sites. More with Sonja right after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. And last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Sonja Grace is here, and we're talking about her book, Spirit Traveler, Unlocking Ancient Mysteries and Secrets of 8 of the World's Great Historic Sites. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio, and we have Sonja's Twitter links right here in Twitter now, too, in the feed, hashtag F2B. Also, Sonja's website is linked over at jimmychurchradio.com, and all of her books and contact information is right there. Sonja, when we're talking about Stonehenge, and it was one of the first things that I started researching when I was, 10, 11 years old, and I got my hand on a book. I remember this in the books stating, "We know nothing." And here I am today with all of the interviews and research and everything. We still don't know much, do we? I mean, so why was Stonehenge built?
Well, my understanding and what I was shown when I spirit traveled there was we came to that Salisbury Plain, that land that it sits on, around maybe 8,000 BC. And, the Ice Age had receded. The people, the ancient ones were standing there, and they said, this is a portal. And in fact, all of Salisbury Plain is a portal. And Stonehenge was much bigger. There's lots of stones that are still buried in Salisbury Plain, so you don't see the whole big picture of what that looked like. But it is a portal, if you will, and there's portals that are marked by stone circles all over the UK, all over Europe. These are marked because these portals were absolutely instrumental in what was taking place on Earth. So when I got there, there was nothing there, and they showed me how they took the high priestesses and they trained them, and they showed me the ceremonies and things that they trained them in, and how they had marked where we know now Stonehenge to be, with the big sarsen stones, smaller, branches and garlands, and, over time, the wooden henge, and then over time, bigger stones. So it's morphed over the years to being finally this big monument that we know as Stonehenge. They did a fertility ceremony there. The alignment that Stonehenge has, not only to Pleiades, but to the solstice, the summer and winter solstice, and the energy of that portal, meaning there's energy from the cosmos that comes down into that portal, and there's energy that comes from the earth up into that portal. So it's got two energy lines running through it. This was used for, the cross-pollination of these Pleiadians with the high priestesses. And they would get pregnant with the Pleiadian babies and basically start a new race of humans. Just the same thing happened in Egypt and Tibet and all these different places around the world. That this is a part of that. Let's create a new phase of humanity. So this fertility ceremony went on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and eventually, after the stones were placed, and I'm zooming through thousands of years now, around 4000 BC when the stones were placed, then we start to see things start to shift. And in another 1,000 years, the Druids have now sort of risen because the worship of the female, of the goddess, the high priestess, has started to diminish, and men are starting to rise up and take that power. And the Druids then adapted some of those ceremonies, and they basically made those ceremonies their own. And they morphed and went on, for the next several thousand years.
Did you? Let me back up the car just a little bit.
Okay.
Did you? Were you able to witness the fertility ceremonies?
I did, and the openings between the big sarsen stones is where you would see one of the high priestesses and one of the Pleiadians, like a spokes of a wheel, and they would literally bring in this cosmic energy through this portal. And it was an experience, and it was a very serious ceremony. It wasn't like, somebody playing Let's Get It On and everybody had a good time.
Right.
It was a very serious ceremony. And only the chosen were allowed to participate in that. The women took care of everything during this time, and they were very much in charge, not only of the ceremonies, but of the doctoring and the healing and all of it.
Hold on for a second.
Okay.
I want to stay right here. This is fascinating. So there was, and when we're talking about fertility, we're talking, are we talking sex?
Yeah, we're talking copulation.
Right,
yes.
copulation's going on, and so and there was witnesses that were invited that were. Now, were they participating, or was this just going on in the center of Stonehenge between two?
Yeah, when I watched this, there were couples. There were the women that came in, and then the men that came in, and then they were placed according to the layout of Stonehenge and the stones, and like spokes of a wheel. Everybody's heads were towards the inner part of the circle,
right,
and the feet towards the outer part of the circle. And yeah, it was not an observation sort of ceremony. It was a participation ceremony, and only the people who were involved in the participation were allowed there.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely, and you know what? It makes a lot of sense. Too. That's the other. It makes an awful lot of sense. I wanted to back up one more time when you had said that your spirit's guides, because this also relates to Stonehenge, what we're talking about now. Mm-hmm. The first time that you went out, when you were in Oregon with your husband, right? And you did the 5-hour thing.
Yeah.
You said something that I want to get back to, where they said many of us are not coming back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What did you mean by that? And was that connected to Stonehenge and possibly the Palladians. I know you mentioned the ant people.
Right. That was not connected, but the reason I said that is because going back to my daily life,
right,
and talking to client after client after client and doing a gazillion past life readings and helping people clear things karmically so they don't have to come back and do it again, I am being shown as I work with people that many of us who came in during Atlantis or Lemuria are not going to be coming back. Many of us are going back to our home planets, and then we're going to be shipped out to a new place. And when I say home planets, I believe that everybody on Earth is a star being. We all come from different parts of the galaxy and beyond. So we will, yes, when we die, we go to the spirit realm, of course, but we will incarnate back onto our home planets.
Got you. Okay. Now, speaking of Lemuria, did you know, well, I'm sure that you do know this, but you can draw a line from Easter Island through Machu Picchu, through Stonehenge, through the Great Pyramids, all the way to Göbekli Tepe. There's a straight line, and that is beyond coincidence.
Yes. Well, I believe that these civilizations were really advanced and very incredible during their time. And we are having this moment right now where we're going, oh my God, we've been here before. You know, we did it different this time. You know, we developed different things in technology, but we've been here before. And I believe that that's really the key to all this history that we're talking about, is we've been here before. Not only in past lives have we been here before, but we've done this before. And many, many things, in fact, I feel all things are cyclical on Earth. Just like we have the spring, summer, autumn, winter, everything is cyclical. There's a cycle of birth and death and rebirth. Oh, look, my flowers came back. It's springtime. It's like, it's so in front of us, and we are constantly cycling. Just like the other part of my work is the emotional aspect and doing, inner processing and helping people get the emotional stuff out so the physical body isn't getting sicker, and helping people understand that those emotional wounds from childhood have become the cycles of which our adult lives are based on and repeating over and over and over again. So if you take that and you put it on a world scale and how we are cycling through all of this, yes, I get that there is a line through all of those sites, because to me, it's a big cycle.
I ask just about every guest when we get into this subject, do you have names for your guides?
I call them the guides. That's what I call them. And they've always presented to me that way. They're angels. I encourage people, if you have that thought, well, who are my guides and how come I don't have guides? I was taught by my first teacher to work with angels, and that they are the highest vibrational beings that we can ask for help. They've never incarnated. They have no karma, and they're there to help us. And I call on angels all the time, and I encourage people to ask angels for help. I'm not real big on, everybody has guides, because not everybody has the same path. The person who has reincarnated over and over and over again to be an astronomer has a path of learning and understanding the stars. Whereas myself, I've incarnated over and over and over again as a healer. That's my path. It's not an easy path. It's not an easy burden to carry. But I feel fortunate that my guides have been with me and helped me through all my lifetimes. That's my path.
Did you, going back to Lemuria, did you experience Thoth?
I experienced in Lemuria the giant's moo. That was pretty much who I was talking to. When I was in Stonehenge, I experienced the Pleiadians. And the same at Tiwanaku, I experienced the Pleiadians there as well. And the gateway to the sun was absolutely a gateway. And they took me through that gateway to Pleiades. I actually went there. And if you read my book, Spirit Traveler, you'll understand why so many people have contacted me and they're really pissed off because I didn't tell them what happened. So I have to write the second book and tell everybody what happened.
Right. Well, the reason why I bring up Thoth, because Thoth is connected to so many, not only through the gods, but different civilizations around the world, and certainly Egypt, and the construction of the Great Pyramid and other sites around the world. And and I was just wondering if you had any information on that, and did your guides show you anything when it came to Thoth?
No, they did not, because again, when I was in Egypt, I was talking to Ra and Sekhmet, and I did not have a conversation with Thoth. I feel like there is a real connection between all of the Egyptian gods and what their message really was, which was, the same as some of these other groups we've talked about. They wanted to help create and mold civilization and help the humans to evolve.
So now let's talk about Giza. Let's talk about the Great Pyramids. We mentioned Göbekli Tepe earlier. Göbekli Tepe going back to 12,000 BC. That's carbon dating. I think it's much older, but that's really not the point. It certainly predates Egypt if we listen to academia. But the Atlanteans and the Lemurians spreading their knowledge around the world. Göbekli Tepe is very close. It's not quite walking distance, but it's close to Giza. And I think that there's a connection there, too, as well. So who built the Great Pyramids? Was it the Egyptians? How did that happen?
When I spirit traveled there, I was shown that the inner chamber was built first, and that those inner chambers were literally transport centers to Orion.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, they transported, and I learned when I spirit traveled there that it was the giants that called themselves Mu that were responsible for the technology and the building of all the pyramids across the Tropic of Cancer, which covers all these areas that we're talking about, and that they also helped instruct the Egyptians, along with then the Egyptian gods when they came in, to use these as transport. When I went inside the Great Pyramid in my spirit travels, not only did I see the Egyptian gods, Ra in particular, in front of me, but they told me that that's where the pharaohs would go and they would materialize and talk to the pharaohs. It was a very, obviously a very sacred place, but it had to do with travel. And the Queen's Chamber was different. It was a different portal and went to Osiris. It was not a portal to that particular part, was a different portal, if you will. So the first of all, the pyramids were built inside out.
Yeah,
the chambers first and then built around. Yeah.
So, and I've often thought that had to have been the case. For lots of different reasons, but there are sections of the Great Pyramid where the stones are removed, and you can see a temple-like structure there, an entrance. And I don't know why they won't remove the blocks. They won't expose that one section. But it looks to me to be a temple, and that the Great Pyramid was built around something that already existed there. It was already a sacred site.
Exactly. And those inner chambers were built long before the pyramid was built around it. But the pyramid was built around it to protect the inner chamber because it was a transport system, and they're totally aligned with Orion.
I'm going with that. Now, when you first traveled there,
I almost said, I'm taking you there.
Yeah, when you first traveled there, do you have any idea of, again, I have to ask time, what was there at Giza when you were there? The chambers were there. It's a separate temple. I get that. What else was there? Do you have any idea of when this was?
Well, yes. The chapter that I wrote in my book is on the Khafre Pyramid. So the Great Pyramid was already standing, and the whole exploration, if you will, for me was to understand, why was this one built? What was it built for? And there was this whole, when you read the book, you'll read what the information is that we know so far. This is what history tells us about the Khafre Pyramid. Then the next part of the chapter is my spirit travels and what happened to me when I went there and what I learned. But there is there was a whole introduction into how Khafre died, and that he thought he was taking some kind of herbal remedy, but in fact he was given something that killed him. He was murdered. And, when I went into the pyramid to actually see how this was built, it was, it was dating back before the Egyptians were there.
And you said...
I feel that those pyramids are much older than what archaeologists have dated them at.
And did you get a chance to see the Sphinx?
Yes, I did. And I spirit traveled there. That's a really amazing story. Sekhmet, who is, the half female, half lion goddess who carries a sword in each hand. She's a healer and she's a warrior.
She's the guardian of the pharaohs.
Yeah, she's really amazing. And
she's pretty badass. She
really is.
Yes.
The Sphinx was built because of her people. Her people were on Earth long before the Egyptians, the Egyptian gods. They were here a long time before that. And she told me, she took me inside the Sphinx. And she took me down into this underground sort of chamber underneath the Sphinx. And then there was another long tunnel that went even further into the ground. And, she stood there. She's like 20 feet high. And when we got down there, this is like a foundation. Again, we're talking about building from the inside out. This is like 800,000 years old, the base bottom area of the Great Sphinx. And she said that this was a transport. It was a portal. And she said, we use this transport to and from our planet in the Leo constellation. And she said in 10,000 BC, she chose to stay with the Egyptian gods and protect the site. And she joined Ra and Isis to build Egypt with the technology and the help from the Savrok. Okay?
Yes.
So the Savrok were involved in all of this too. But she was, she was really amazing in that she and her people cross-pollinated with a group of humans these people were half, Sekhmet and half human, and they were considered the magicians of their village, their tribe. And when Atlantis fell, these people were helped by the Savrok to Göbekli Tepe, where they were hidden underground, because there's underground tunnels and chambers all through this area. Mm-hmm. And they are considered, in Göbekli Tepe, the carvings of the animals in the pillars and on the different stone structures.
Right.
That's the people. They're shapeshifters. That's them.
What else did you see underneath the Sphinx? And I'm referring directly to, some of the myth and urban legend, connected to what could be under there. Certainly Edgar Cayce and others. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth have all talked about, a library. What else did you see down there? Did you see any evidence of a library or...
Really? Did you take a flashlight?
I know. Did you take a picture?
Did you take your iPhone, for God's sake?
I mean, did you take a selfie?
No, you're so funny. When I went in there and we stood in that first chamber, it was very empty. There was nothing in that first chamber. It was like a big room. And then we went down into the lower chamber, which was more of the, like she said, it's like a portal, and it's how they transported. Now, when I looked around on the walls, I saw paintings and, drawings, depictions, much like in the Egyptian, temples and all the different burial tombs and stuff. So there was that. And there was a door into another chamber. And, taking a glimpse through that door, I saw books and different items that were stored. But it's not like I got to go in there and, gander and say, oh, wow, look, here's this and that. So I'll have to go back and report to you.
I know. And it upsets me that you can't make a request. Tell your guys, look, I was just on Church's show, and I've got to go back. He's got follow-up questions. It doesn't work that way, does it? I'm being serious. It just doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. But I will, if I get a chance to go back there, I will make that request. And absolutely. Doesn't it make you want to get a shovel, though? It's like every place I go, it's like I'm standing there going, wow, if I only just had a big shovel, I could start digging, because I know everything that we're looking for is underground.
Yes, certainly. And look at, Göbekli Tepe, and they deliberately buried that, so we do have to dig it out.
Yes, absolutely. And the giants called Mu told me that they buried the site because they did not want the Anunnaki to find this. It was a ceremonial site. They didn't want them to find it. So they buried it.
We've been trying to figure that out forever. I've speculated. You know what? That actually kind of ties into one of the things that I've thought about when it's why they buried it was maybe they just wanted to preserve it for us. And that certainly would tie in with what you are suggesting right now. They didn't want the Anunnaki to find it. Well, they didn't want anybody to, right? But they needed to preserve it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And what a great way to preserve it, a bunch of sand.
Well, and they did a good job because look at it today. We still have it.
Right.
Exactly. Just like it was back then with the garbage and the trash all thrown in. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Sonja Grace. When we come back, Sonja, let's go down to South America. What do you say?
Okay.
Let's do that next. Our guest tonight, Sonja Grace. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Finally, Sonja Grace is on with us. Great conversation. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Sonja. Sonja, really quick, your Twitter handle is Sonja Grace
Guide. Sonja Grace Guide.
Sonja Grace Guide. It's cut off here, so I see it now. It's Sonja Grace Guide. Before we go down south into South America, let's go back to Egypt really quick. How did they move the stones? How did they get everything from Aswan and the quarries up to Giza?
Well, as what I experienced and saw when I spirit traveled there, it was the giants that moved the stones. It was not the people. This notion to me that the people dragged these stones across the desert and, all the depictions that we've seen, I don't agree. And that's not what I experienced when I traveled back in time.
Why, and staying there in Giza, all of the temples, the Egyptians put hieroglyphics on everything. It's everywhere, except for the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx, the two most important structures on planet Earth, and nobody left their mark. Why is that?
They didn't leave a mark on those because they were, I think at the time, they were understanding the importance in terms of being a portal and a gateway for the gods. It was like known. No, you do not deface this. You do not add anything to it. Of course, we know that the Great Sphinx has been defaced and changed probably many times because of how old it is. But the original Sphinx was that of a lion.
Right. Well, and the other part about the portal was the portal. Was it hardware, or was this a consciousness type of portal of movement?
My experience of these places, whether it's Stonehenge and people, going through the portal, or standing in any of these sites where there's energy, this was an energetic portal, meaning there's no hardware like beam me up, Scotty. There's just the energy of that portal, and these demigods, these really magnificent, benevolent beings, having the wherewithal to travel through these portals.
Where did they go?
Back to where they came from.
No, I mean, a portal to where? Was it to a specific destination?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. So the portals from, the Great Pyramids were to Orion. And by the way, there was a real desire to know and understand who the Savrok were, who these ant people were. They wanted that information. And they specifically, Anubis. Anubis wanted to know where they were, and they're from Orion as well. So he was blocked. Anubis was blocked from going through this portal up to the Savroks where they're from, because there was a desire, if you will, to steal that information. Anubis was not from the same place that Ra and Thoth and Hathor and all of them were from. He was not from that same place. He came from the Southern Cross, and he was adopted. And so he adopted a form of the dog head shape to be more accepted by the Egyptian gods. He was taken in, but he wanted power, and he wanted to know and have the power that the Savrok had. I mean, there's all this stuff, it's like we look at this. I mean, I hear myself talk and I go, okay, let's bring it back down to the ground here. If we look at the wars and the things that have gone on Earth, and we can all scratch our heads and go, oh my God, why did that happen? Why did we go into Vietnam? Why did that happen in Syria? Why was that happening in Iraq? I mean, all of the questions that everybody out there has. But the one thing that we don't look at is these extraterrestrials use humans to fight their battles. And there's a lot of battles that go on out in our galaxy and beyond. And they've been going on for a long time. And, I'm sure you've had guests on the show that talk about the reptilians and the greys and all of these different species that have not gotten along. And this is played out and acted out, in my opinion, and what I have experienced through our species. So some of these conflicts that we get into aren't necessarily our conflicts, but humans aren't really necessarily on top of it all the time to recognize that something else is working through them. And that's what I meant at the top of the show, that we have to take responsibility for our own consciousness and really get down and dirty with going in and doing the work on the inner level so that we can be aware when something's trying to come through us.
The mention that you did earlier when you said that the gods were there coming back and meeting in the king's chamber with the pharaohs, is that possible today, or is that door closed? Literally, is that portal closed?
No, it's not closed. And I have heard from them that they still are there in Egypt, that they're still, taking care of those sites and taking care of the people. So I would imagine that is very possible today. And I have had a direct, full-on visual, for real, Sekhmet walking through the room. And it was really tremendous. I mean, it was like her footsteps were boom, 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 really loud. And I remember sitting up in bed going, oh my God, something's coming through the room. And there she was in all her glory, walking through the room, just blazing a trail. And, they're around. They're here.
So the Sphinx was built, was carved, was sculpted in Sekhmet's likeness.
Correct.
That's fascinating.
And a temple to her and her people.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. See, this is the other part of Egypt that I have a hard time. I'm trying to figure it out, right? I'm just trying to figure this out like everybody else. Mm-hmm. But when we go back before the dynastic periods and we jump back to 3000 BC and before, positively we know nothing, right? There's no written record. There's nothing there. But something established so much before that. And the Egyptians talk about it. They talk about Zep-Tepi, right? And they refer to all of this, but there isn't anything there. And the Great Pyramid and the Giza complex, for me, not having hieroglyphics or anything there, that it was there before the dynastic times. Mm-hmm. And having Sekhmet be the Sphinx only makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I'm with you on that. That's a very, very fascinating way to look at it.
Good. The one thing I want to say, so your listeners really know where I'm coming from, because I'm a healer, I'm really experiential. It's like I have to feel it and I have to experience it in order for me to, come to my methodology of, where I'm getting my information. I have tons of respect for Graham Hancock and for people in the industry of archaeology who have also come to their, beliefs and understandings about these things. I'm the first one to say my methodology is very unusual and it is unorthodox. But I do believe that there is no reason why a person like myself with my abilities can't go in and really see what happened in history and be able to bring that back and explain what I saw and why the people did what they did. There is a chapter in my book on St. Winifred's Well, which is in Wales. And this chapter is important because even though it's not as far back in time as the things that we're talking about right now, it's about a piece of history, for those of you who are Catholic out there listening, that I think is super important to show that we have morphed and changed history based on who's in power and what religion is most dominant and why. Because she was the daughter of, these people who had promised her to put her into the church to become a nun. Her uncle was the priest. And instead, Winifred fell in love with this guy who was, the local pagan, and it was forbidden. She was not allowed to marry him. And in fact, the story goes that she turned this guy down who wanted to marry her. And he rode by as she was standing on the steps of the church and chopped her head off. And her uncle, the priest, magically sewed her head back onto her body. And poof, she was, this saint who was healing people, and she helped the people and she survived. Well, the real story is that she fell in love with this pagan, this guy in the village, and he had his head lopped off and put on a stake for everybody to realize and know that if you're pagan, you're in big trouble and you better become a Christian. And so she did go into the church, and she was a nun, but she had a very sad story. And when I saw her standing there at St. Winifred's Well, she told me this story. And I think it's important because a lot of times when we look at history, we forget who told the story, who wrote this book, who said it was this way. When I went to see Stonehenge, I rode we had a driver, and there was a bunch of us in the van, and I was talking about Stonehenge and when the sarsen stones were placed. And he said, Sonja, I went on an archaeological dig on Salisbury Plain just a month ago. And he said, I'm not an archaeologist. I'm like an amateur, but all these other people were, real archaeologists. And he said, we found something that will change the history books on Stonehenge. He said, we found the tooth of an aurochs. And he said, that is a game changer. And he said, that puts Stonehenge exactly at your dates at 4000 BC.
And did that ever surface?
I have not seen it surface yet.
I haven't heard about this. No.
And think about all the books they have to change.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, well, when we talk about you just brought up Graham Hancock, and with not only Graham but others have brought this up about Egypt, where you can't mention Atlantis, right? Robert Schacht, says in academia, you want a PhD, you don't bring up Atlantis. You want to keep, your tenure, you don't bring up Atlantis. And of course, we can talk about the Greeks and we talk about Plato, but academia will say that Egypt doesn't have an Atlantis story to it, and that's not true. And Graham Hancock brings up, mentions in the Temple of Edfu, on the wall there that has got the history of Egypt, they go all the way back, and they talk about Zep-Tepi, but they go all the way back to the island disappearing myth, the Great Flood, the island disappearing into the sea, and those gods coming to Egypt and bringing their knowledge with them. Right. So it's not like it's not out there. It's just that they don't want to talk about, not Graham, academia, Egyptologists.
Right.
They don't want to talk about this, where these types of stories are out there, and it's not part of the oral tradition. It's written.
But don't you think it really comes down to fear? It's just like the the populace discussing whether there's UFOs and aliens or not. It's really about fear. People aren't wanting to believe that there might be something more intelligent and of greater ability than us. I mean, the humans have been sort of at the top of the ladder here for quite a long time, and I think it's very difficult for people to think outside of the box, that there may be just as intelligent, if not more intelligent, civilizations in the past. I mean, it's absurd to think that we were, dragging, a stick around and and not speaking, and I mean, just the whole concept of ancient man to me is ridiculous from what I've seen. Well, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you're right, though, because when you come to the professionals out there, the archaeologists and the historians, and where their easy way out, Sonja, is you're not giving ancient man enough credit. No, that's not even the point. Why can't you jump out of the box and accept the possibility that ancient man was taught from somebody that had the knowledge? Right. That taught them, how to carve, how to quarry stone, how to, about agriculture and about math and about the stars and science, that maybe it just happened that way, but they don't want to do that. And talk about rewriting books. Well, that's exactly what they have to do, and they don't want to. They just don't, and they want to protect their precious reputation instead of taking chances. Right.
It's and it's that way in religion. It's that way in a lot of different areas that we have today in this world. To me, we have very much limited ourselves and our thinking. I mean, they're still teaching in school that Columbus discovered America, for God's sakes, Right. It's like where is the thinking of our, of our species? And I applaud you because of the show that you do and your listeners, because I know they're all open and they want to learn and understand that there is more than what we're getting maybe from your basic history class in school, but I feel that it's important that we also be active participants in our evolutionary process. And part of that means it's a bit of hard work. It's not just going to bing us on the head, boom, you're enlightened, have fun. That's a really hard process. That's something that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of really hard work. So,
I want to, before we wrap up the show, and I do want to thank you, just an amazing conversation. Talking about Tiwanaku and Pumapunku and Cusco and the other Peruvian sites down there in South America and other sites too. But the similarities between the ability to move these huge stones and to carve them and to quarry these beautiful works are very similar to Baalbek and Giza and certainly Göbekli Tepe all the way over to Easter Island. And what is what is there? Is that Mu? Is that
yes? I believe that's Mu, but I will make the exception that Stonehenge is the Pleiadians. That was the Pleiadians doing that, and Tiwanaku is the Pleiadians as well, because they're the ones that I met and I saw them come through that the gateway to the sun, and they told me about the development of that civilization and that they were instrumental in helping them evolve, just like they did at Stonehenge. But yes, I believe that the giants Mu had everything to do with the placement of some of the earlier sites before that happened. And I said they came here a million years ago, and they started developing a lot of things over time on Earth. And that includes a lot of these pyramids and sites that you are talking about. And, Tiwanaku, those people have been there long before that particular site. There's a whole city underneath that city. This is really ancient land.
Yeah, it is. It's say it again. How do you? I've always pronounced it Tiwanaku.
Tiwanaku.
Yeah, okay, I kind of like that too as well. Well, nobody knows, right? Nobody knows.
Yeah, right.
But there's a site there where in this structure, it's 4 walls, where what appears to be all of the races on Earth are represented and their faces are there, which is impossible, right? If we just, think in, today's way of thinking. But they have, and there's also what appears to be like a gray alien head and some things that look ET-ish. But they have all of these faces there. So when you did you get a chance to see how that was done or why it's there?
What I learned was it's there because they were representing the 4 directions, the 4, group, the 4 white, brown, yellow, black directions going in the 4 directions.
Right.
This is so like, the migration stories left on stones, in the 4 corners in the Southwest. This is the same kind of idea. We're going back to cycles now. And yes, ETs have been visiting for a long time. And I believe that these depictions of ETs there in what you're talking about are because they were visited. And so many different cultures. If you look at the ceremonial dress of the Dogon tribe, they look like extraterrestrials when they're dressed and doing their ceremonies. My culture, the Hopis, Kachinas, for God's sakes, they're star beings. If you look at the different tribal things that are done around the world, you start to see what the people experienced and how they have now put that into their practice, into motion.
I want to thank you for coming on tonight, and I do want to mention something very cool, which is April 21st. in Scottsdale, Arizona. You're going to be hanging out with my boss, George Norrie.
Yes, I am.
At the Virginia Piper Theater. And I've been announcing this on Coast, all year. This is a very big event. You've got yourself, you've got Travis, John D'Souza, Dr. Lynn Katay.
Yeah.
You excited about this?
I'm really excited, and I just can't wait to be there. I did a show like this with George up in Seattle, and we had such a good time, and I'm really stoked about doing this one in Phoenix.
Now, how's the audience reception when you do, the George Norrie live events where now, because the audience only hears him on the radio, right? They don't get to go and hang out and see him in person and do his interview and his style. How does the audience respond to it?
They're really responsive, and what I love is it's, a lot of people are tonal, and so radio really works because they have to hear it to get it. And,
right.
A lot of people are visual, and, when you go to a live show and you see George and, he's just really energetic and he sings and he, we have such a good time, and they see me and they see the other people. It's sort of like it makes it real because radio has that, ability to make it a bit unreal because we're just hearing it. So visually it's fun, and I can't wait to do the show in Phoenix.
At the Conscious Life Expo, did you, I got to see George sing for the first time. Did you go to the party that night and listen to George?
I went to the party, but I didn't get to hear George sing. I believe we left before that, but I did hear him sing when we were on stage together up in Seattle, and he's great. He's very good.
I got to hear George sing. I think he did like 6 or 8 acoustic songs. And Robert Perala was playing guitar.
Oh my God.
I know,
that's
right?
Incredible.
I know. It was really cool. And I'm standing there like, I'm in bizarro world, I'm just like, I can't believe I'm watching George and Robert Perala do acoustic Beatles songs for an hour.
That's great. That's great. I'm going to be on the panel, George's panel at Contact in the Desert in June.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to see you down there, right?
Yeah. I'm going to be hanging out on doing my thing, emceeing and introducing people and doing that all weekend. We're actually now Friday night. We'll be broadcasting. We do this every year at Contact in the Desert. So we broadcast Fade to Black live with a studio audience. So you've got to come over and jump on the show with us for a few minutes on Friday night.
Absolutely. I will do that.
Thank you so much, Sonja. Don't wait 5 years to come back on the show, okay?
No, thank you so much for having me on, and I look forward. I hope we get to do this again.
We'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sonja Grace, everybody. Now, on Twitter, Sonja Grace Guide. It's right there on Twitter. And I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll come back and grab some phone calls and open up the phone lines. This is Fade to Black, and I am your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. The Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back to take some of your phone calls. Stay with us.
To my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I want to thank Sonja Grace. What a great conversation. Yep, she'll be in Scottsdale with George Norrie April 21st. Tickets and info over at coasttocoastam.com in the events section. And, of course, she'll be at Contact in the Desert June 1st through the 4th in Palm Springs, Indian Wells. And tickets and information are over on our website, jimmychurchradio.com. And she brought up a couple of really interesting points tonight. And Sekhmet and the Great Sphinx, fascinating. I've often wondered about that. And about the King's Chamber being built first, and then the Great Pyramid was built around it to preserve it. Fascinating. All right, I've opened up the phone lines, 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Let's go to area code 949 first. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
This is Robert. Jimmy, how are you?
Hi, Bob. How are you? Where are you calling from?
Calling from Newport Beach, California.
Newport Beach, right down the street.
Well, a little about 45 minutes from you.
Yeah, we love Newport. What's on your mind tonight, Bob?
Well, first of all, I love listening to you when you're on Coast, by the way. You're the best guest host on Coast than anyone. I love them all, but there's something very authentic about you. What I can't get, Jimmy, is whether we're talking about how the pyramids were built, whether we're talking about the Aztecs or the Mayans, or now this new queen that they found. They dug up archaeological scepters and royal robes. I guess you've heard about that down in Peru, and the Amazonian matriarchal rule. I am finding it very difficult to embrace everything. And I know you know the principle called the law of contradiction. We all can't be right, so that must mean we all are wrong. But I cannot believe that with all of the exoplanet possibilities and probabilities and the distant stars and the distant galaxies and all of the hypothesis and hypothecating on theories and theorems, why don't we just look right underneath our nose? We have the greatest blue ball planet right here. The evidence is right here. And instead of the outerverse, we haven't even discovered every particular life that's in the Amazon jungle or the deepest part of the oceans, the Mariana Trench. We are still discovering anatomical facts within the body and the inner space of our physiology. And yet we seem to feel as if there's nothing left to discover. So we must go to Mars, or we have to go to some planet that we don't know is there, but we believe is there. Based on what? It's just a bunch of conspiracy-ridden hypothecation. And it makes no sense to me, Jimmy.
It doesn't. And we know more about the moon than we do our own oceans.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, that's a fact. We've mapped the moon. We've been to 5% of the ocean. 5%.
How deep have we gone on the moon's surface? How deep have we gone underneath the moon dust? I mean, we drill into the core of we drill into, not the core, excuse me, but right. We drill and we frack rock for oil. And we're going down in caves and caverns beneath the ocean. I mean, Jimmy, I am just trying. I love it, though. Don't get me wrong, Jimmy. I love science fiction. I love the 2001. I love Rosemary Baby. I love it all. Okay, but I think we have to somehow or another divine and divide between entertainment, between fascination of imagination, and deal with just some hard reality. And I don't know if it's an ideological escapism or is it just the fact that we are really frightened about reality?
Well, okay. And so why is it, and I'll give you a partial answer, it may be easier for us to go to the moon and fly, probes to Mars and Jupiter and Saturn and Mercury and Venus than it is to go to the depths of the ocean. Technically, it's harder for us to do that. At least that's the story that they give us, right?
You can't see the forest for the trees.
Right,
Jimmy,
right. And so,
there's a great verse in the Bible. Jesus says, "We strain at a net and swallow a camel." And the grass is not always greener on the other side. Jimmy, we have one hell of a planet. Look where you and I are. We're in Southern California, one of the most amazing gems of the planet. I've traveled all over the world, and yet the geographical beauty and topography of this state, whether you're in the desert, whether you're in the coastal region, whether you're in the mountains. I mean, Jimmy, Southern California, 10 minutes to the desert, 30 minutes to the snow. The largest agriculture producing state in the Union. And with all of that, and with living here for 30 years, I still have not discovered every aspect of the beauty of California. I could live here for 300 years and not discover it. I just don't get it. I want us to be a little more centered in our inner space and our heads out of our phones and our eyes to each other. And one of the things that really frustrates me about Southern California is that in our quest to bridge the chasm and the gap and all of this technology and with all of this knowledge, we have more misinformation or disinformation or ill-informed information than we have ever had in history because there are more contributing chefs in the soup with all kinds of pseudo knowledge of opinion and thought. And to me, it muddies the water. It pollutes the vision. Simple. Let's, keep it simple, stupid. And Jimmy, we're not keeping it simple. We're forgetting how to talk to each other. We're forgetting how to write to each other. We're forgetting how to look at each other. We're forgetting how to hear each other. And we're talking about getting rid of Monsanto and genetically modified processes in our food, yet we are inorganically communicating with each other. That way, we figured it's okay to work through binary codes, X's and O's and steel and fiber and smooth glass by Apple, and yet we're forgetting the eye, our own eye to each other, our own anatomy, our own physiological ability to discern each other's body motion and frequency of speech and intonations. We're forgetting that, and we're turning to our devices. Every year, Apple comes up with another new device. We're turning into virtual reality. Why? We have the greatest reality right in front of me. We'd rather have a woman that we can't touch rather than one that we can touch. I don't get it, Jimmy. I don't get it.
See, this is the thing, Bob. And although you're 100% correct, everything that you have just stated, we have gone through those cycles over and over again throughout history, and we can't learn from our own mistakes. Before electricity, and I'm talking about 100 years ago, before the advent of television and movies and radio, and records and the ability to then start to get distracted. Certainly today we have 1 million of those distractions. You've just listed 50 of them. But before that, what was our entertainment? What did we do? Well, we talked, we communicated, we understood, we had those vibes. And if you push back further than that, and you go back to 5,000 years ago, 3,000 BC, 2,000 BC. We understood our own selves, our own mind. We knew what made everything click. We understood emotions and communication. Body language was that's how you really did communicate. You couldn't lie. So, but we forgot that. And then we got it back again. And then we forgot it again. And then we got back to it. And then we went through the dark ages and then got it back again and went through the Renaissance and lost it again, and it came back, and all the spirituality movements that happened in the 1700s and the Illuminatis of the world and the secret societies and the mystery schools. We got it back again, and then we lost it again. I can't explain our own amnesia. I can't. Wow. It's like in our own DNA. We're subjected to it. I think, Bob, that we're starting to come back and understand our own id and our own minds, and that we had to go through the experience of our children staring into smartphones all day long, that maybe we are disconnecting from ourselves. So maybe we'll come back around again, and hopefully we'll hang on to it this next time.
You're right. That was so well said, Jimmy. And I would have to agree with you 100%. I agree 100% with what you said, because as far as I can see, historically, the greatest predictor of the future is the actions of history, as is known. And you nailed it. And it's cyclical. It's a cycle, and it almost seems immutable and irreversible and irrevocable. We are destined to doom. And that doom is a cycle. Empires rise. We still don't know how they built the pyramids. We don't know how they communicated. We have technology that comes and goes, and there seems to be this equinoxial cycle of constant learning and unlearning, relearning, dying, growing, advancing, digressing, progressing. And it's a cycle, and I don't think it's ever going to change until ultimately, as most people would say, even the Quran ends the same way the Bible ends, the same way the Torah ends, and that is the Messiah. I think whatever people define it, I define it as Jesus, Yeshua, the Messiah, will come eventually and set it all right. Now, what date is that? Who knows? We can hypothecate. Listen, I don't really care what date it is. It'll happen when it happens. But until that time, you are absolutely right, Jimmy. All we can do is what we can do, which is the best that each of us should do, which is always try to achieve our highest and best selves.
What are you going to do, Bob, when E.T., that craft, finally arrives and it lands in Laguna Beach and you're down there with everybody else and the door opens and the stairs come down and off steps Jesus?
Well, I'm going to do.
I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing Jacob did when he saw the ladder in Genesis. I'm going to do the same thing that Ezekiel did when he saw the wheel in the middle of the wheel. I'm going to do the same thing that John, the Revelator, did, and that is, bow in his presence.
Have a heart attack.
Came out.
Yeah, have a heart attack. Right? Hey, Bob, don't be a stranger, man.
I love you, Bob.
Yeah, great phone call. Thank you so much, man. Hey, you need your own radio show.
Well, you know what? I enjoy just being a voice in the wilderness, and contributing to your greatness is as much as part of being my radio show as anything. I'm a part of the whole, and I don't need my own radio show. I appreciate the compliment. I think you are doing a great job, and George and Ori and many others, and I just love being a voice in the wilderness to contribute to your greatness. How about that?
Be safe and be well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Great phone call right there. That's what I'm talking about right there. Thank you, Bob. Bob in Laguna Beach. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Deb from Sacramento.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
Hi, good. Hey, Bob brought up a great point, and when Sonja was on, I wanted to ask her, I was hoping she'd take calls. I wanted to ask her in her travels if she had met Jesus, because she talked about angels being her guides. So I was really curious as to whether she had encountered Jesus, but I knew you were going to ask Bob that question about what are you going to do with Jesus.
You felt that, yeah, you felt that coming.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen? I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago on the show, and then Rita and I watched part 1 and part 2. Man of Earth, I think that's what it's called. The 14,000-year-old man. He's Cro-Magnon. Oh, Man of Earth. Okay. Because he was Jesus. I don't want to give away the movie. Okay. I feel that I just did, but it happens in the middle. And see, this is what is, I'm not going to give it away. Everybody should go watch the film. Part 2 is okay. It's good, but the first film. So anyway, it always goes to religion, right? The conversation, and they're sitting in the room, and of course they want to know if he's 14,000 years old, if he had witnessed, the crucifixion, and it turns into, well, I was Jesus. And so he gets into this conversation about religion and Jesus and where his knowledge came from. And it's a mind-blowing take on it. It's a mind-blowing take, one that you would never imagine. And so you should go check out that film. And I somehow imagine myself with one of these guests that they're going to hit me with something like that at one point. I don't want to give it away. You have to go and watch the film.
Okay. Hey, I wanted to tell you, I've been listening to Emery. I used to follow him more. I still do, on a Cosmic Disclosure first, before you ever had him on. Mm-hmm. And then I listened to him when you had him on. Then I heard him on Coast again, and then heard him last night. Fantastic. He resonates so much heart and so much truth. He's just incredible. And I hope, I went and I did a contribution to his Facebook thing because I want to help the crowdfunding he mentioned about the film, the documentary he wants to do. Right. He says the stuff you're going to, remember he said, the stuff I want to film and will blow your mind. So I want to have my mind blown by what he can show us. So I would encourage all the Fadernauts, man, go contribute, because I want him to get that doc made so that we can see it.
Yeah. Emery's not playing around, and he really does resonate with so many people, and I just look forward to every time that we have him on the show, and I know that there's some stuff that is right around the corner. I can't really mention anything right now, but Emery has got he's got things to say. I'll just leave it at that. And so I really appreciate you saying that, Deb, and I mean that. Thank you so much, and so does he. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night, Jimmy.
You too, Deb. Deb from Sacramento. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Robert.
Hi, Robert. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Love the show tonight.
Where are you calling from?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Birmingham, Alabama. Right on, Robert.
The only one in the city that loves the conspiracy stuff.
Yeah, they do, man. What's on your mind tonight, Robert?
I was hearing about the talk of religion and everything, and, I just love the myths and how, social institutions use that and encourage conformity and altruism and to signal the level of commitment to cooperate, and I'm trying to just, it's not indoctrination of religion, but it's, I don't know how to say it.
I'm with you, Robert, but we're on the radio, so we can't have silence.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll let you go, Jimmy. I apologize, but I love the show.
Okay, Robert. Oh, thank you, man. And call back when you're ready. How's that? Deal?
I will.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you so much, Robert. See, being on shows like this, when you dial, you are ready. I get that. Your thoughts are together, man. I'm going to call in. I've got things to say. And then when I utter those words, hi, you're live on Fade to Black, who's calling? It all goes south. I get that. I totally get it. All right? So it's okay, Robert. Call back when you're ready. And it's all right. It's all right. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. This is Phil Christophers here in Shelton, Washington. And great show, man. Really love the guest. And to Bob's earlier statements, I kind of agree with him about, we need to be looking at people in the eyes and getting them off of our phones. But, also, we shouldn't overlook the fact that that second coming of Christ might be something that happens within our own consciousness, and it's not going to be somebody stepping off a ship or anything like that. That's one possibility, I'm going to say.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The other part that, and Phil, thank you for the phone call, my friend, and you raise a good point, and my point is this, that we, and this has happened over and over again, it seems that we always want somebody to come and save us, to come and fix the situation. And I'm not so hip to that. I think it should be the opposite. I think that we should always be looking at ourselves for those answers and trying to figure out. But putting all hope in somebody coming in and fixing the situation, whether it's ET or a bank loaning you money or Jesus or whatever it is, we constantly are looking for that. And I don't know. I'm not cool with that. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Jimmy, this is Ken from Irvine. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I am doing great. Great show tonight. Really loved the intercourse there with Bob. Speaking of Jesus, I just wanted kind of a tangent. Wanted to ask you if you happened to catch the live Jesus Christ Superstar the other night.
No, heard about it, though. Heard about it. That with John Legend, right?
Yep, Johnny Legend, yep. It was good. Yep. But, yeah, as far as Jesus and you got to have a friend upstairs. That's my take on it. And, yeah, you own your own. That's the truth. Your life is yours, and you need to rule it and own it. But a little help from upstairs comes in handy now and then.
That's what I'm talking about, and thank you for reminding us.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Have a great night. That's a great phone call right there. Absolutely. It is within us. And, man, I'm looking at the clock. I don't know if I should. Do I have time for one more call? Should I do it? Should I do one more? Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? I lost it. Okay. And there you go. Great night on the show. And nothing like, for me, to stir everybody and trying to get people to think. You know, I just want people to think. I want people to question things. What I had mentioned early in the show tonight in my rant, when this social media experiment, it has probably gone a little too far. And when you have the ability, and I'm talking about the tech giants and specifically YouTube and Facebook, the ability to, it's one thing to have a certain revenue stream and maybe big advertisers or a big website or two or a big channel or two. But when you are tapping into individuals and their stories, and everybody found out that it's actually fun to talk about yourself personally. It's fun to make videos. It's fun to go out and experiment, and this freedom of being able to upload your thoughts both on a Facebook feed or on a YouTube channel and expressing and getting it out there. Suddenly, all of these tech giants saw that they could run advertising on these individual channels. Individual, not advertising that's going out on ABC, CBS, NBC, out globally, but a targeted. And now you have 2 billion advertising feeds for Facebook. Think of how many channels are out there and how many videos are uploaded every single day on YouTube. And now this thing that is inside of us is emotionally tied in now to all of these networks, these social media platforms. And you turn around and you mess with that freedom, whether it's in a data download or it's in demonetizing somebody's channel or telling them that they are not worthy and they are not good enough, and you're bringing back and you are messing with somebody's emotions. Now you're doing it with billions of people, and the possibility of that going south for you is a dark zone. And yesterday, what happened up at YouTube, and I really mean this, you're messing with somebody's emotions with somebody that you helped create. And to turn around and say, oh, YouTube is the victims here. Facebook is the victim. Facebook didn't do anything. Facebook is saying, it's us. We're the victims here. Somebody else did it. No, that's not the case. And it's not the case with YouTube. And to create this false reasons for this, right? That she may have posted it. I'm talking about Nasim on her website and on the YouTube channels, but you caused it. You caused it. You made her do that and say those things. So there's some responsibility here that needs to be taken. And I'm telling you, we have the power, all of us, to shut down everything. We do. And we don't want, I don't want any of us to lose sight of that. We actually have that inside of us. So think about that. And that's what I wanted everybody to be exposed to, is another mindset, another thought process of actually what is going on. The internet is a powerful tool, and it has allowed us to provide information. You're providing that content. It's you that is creating it for everybody else to go out there and interact and see and share opinions and thoughts and art and express. It's magic. But we can't lose sight of us. Think about that. It is just so important. Tomorrow night, we'll be talking about all of this on the show tomorrow. It is Open Lines. John Rappaport is going to be here. I may have a special guest tomorrow, like I said, and that may go down tomorrow night. If it doesn't, we'll go ahead and do that Monday on Fade to Black. And then on Friday night, I'm over at Coast to Coast. But for everybody else tonight, just enjoy the rest of your evening. And I do want to thank Sonja Grace for coming in tonight. It took 4 years for her to get on the show, but it was absolutely amazing. Look forward to her being back with us very, very soon. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Camarion. Shows produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black of the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Until tomorrow night, Fader Night, John Rappaport, open lines all night long. I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.